Arsenal now are in the top 10 of the Premier League. Still 9 adrift, though, of Chelsea in 4th. Chelsea 5 clear of United, despite dropping points against Brighton. We'll talk about United in a moment, Robert, but let's focus on the positives, and that was very much Arsenal today. Why were they so good?
The distances when they were defending between each player was good. It meant Manchester United couldn't pass through them. They got their depth right in their defending, when to squeeze up, when to drop off. They pressed from the front. They did everything right defensively. And then when they did win the ball back, there was a threat. And they also got their left-back, Kolasinac, out in the first half.
Yep.
Aubameyang was coming in off the touchline, taking Wan-Bissaka infield. It meant that James didn't really want to go back with Kolasinac. They worked it really well. And I thought Lacazette led the line brilliantly.
Ozil as well. Shaka, it was like the old days.
Yeah, I mean, in the game against Chelsea, I thought, despite the loss, Arsenal looked good defensively, especially when you consider that they had Ozil on the park, Aubameyang and Lacazette. This time, Pepe comes in for Nelson, and still, somehow Arteta gets his team to put in a very good defensive performance. It's still the same David Luiz, still the same Socrates, Maitland-Niles, Kolasinac still seems to be better going forward than at the back. But as a team, this is a team they're defending well and in unison. And despite what the stats suggest, Leno, up until maybe late on, didn't really have much to do.
No, he had that one shot from Fred, and that was pretty much it. Granit Xhaka, who, of course, a lot of speculation about his future, that he could be out the door. We know what's happened so far this season. Another key part as to why this Arsenal team played so well today.
Yeah, and there was a couple of moments in the game when Arsenal were attacking, and their 2 holding midfield players just sat there, and their back 4 just sat there and said, OK, we'll let our attacking players go and create. And if we lose possession, we've got good shape to win the ball back or be in good position so we can't be counter-attacked. Because we were talking yesterday and the day before, what a threat Manchester United would be on the counter-attack. That wasn't the case because Arsenal had good shape.
Why has it taken this manager to work this out?
No idea. Absolutely no idea. The players are obviously listening to him. We heard comments after the game how the players are happy with what they're doing, happy with the tactics. They like the way the manager's talking to them, the way he's getting his opinions across. But we have to be careful because under Unai Emery, Arsenal put 4 or 5 brilliant performances in at home last year. The crowd was singing, we've got our Arsenal back. It was played with great intent. They were talking about Arsenal, the Emirates being a bare pit after the Tottenham game. So we have to slow down a little bit.
What's the ceiling? What's good for Arsenal? What's a good Arsenal season now?
I think if Arsenal finish 5th, they have to be more than happy with that. Let's keep in mind that they're only 4 points off United, who were in 5th. And then there's a bit of a gap. I think it's another 5 points on to Chelsea in 4th. I don't see them necessarily making up that ground on Chelsea, but certainly the 4 points to United, given the inconsistencies we've seen from not just United, but Spurs, it's within touch and distance, but a lot has to go right for Arsenal. And as good a performance as this was, and the result, as much as I may have praised the performance despite the result against Chelsea, you're still not sure that Arsenal can deliver this consistently. We take it for what it is, but Arteta still has a lot of work to do between now and the end of the season.
We were watching the game together, and you were like, right, how's this going to finish down at half-time? I said, it's going to be 2-2. Arsenal are going to muck this up. United are going to come out with more energy in the second half. They didn't.
No.
There was absolutely nothing positive to say about that United performance.
And there was no structure about their play. You know, when players got on the ball in midfield, I couldn't see where their next forward pass was going to be. There was no link-up play between the front players. There was a lack of drive. There was a lack of energy. We weren't able to play out from the back and get it into wide areas to get crosses into the box. Because when they crossed the ball into the box, who was going to be in there to get on the end of it? It was a very strange performance from Manchester United, but I suppose we should expect it these days because they're so inconsistent. One week they look a real threat on the counter-attack. The next week, when the opposition drop that little bit deeper, they can't break the opposition open.
But I thought Arsenal were a little bit risky in the way and how deep they played, and they turned into the counter-attacking team in the second half. But maybe that's recognising that Manchester United simply have no real creativity in midfield. And unless you can get the likes of Rashford and Martial in behind, you're not quite sure where United are getting their goals from. And that's how the entire second 45 played out. But to your point, Dan, I share your concern, especially given what we saw from Chelsea. If United got one, you're not quite sure how this would have panned out. Crowd maybe a little bit nervy. Would that have translated to the pitch as well?
But they didn't even look like they were getting one.
No, they didn't.
That was the kind of key takeaway. It was so pedestrian.
Well, Lingard is lacking confidence. Every time the ball came to him, he looked as though he was going to lose possession. He couldn't find a forward pass. Matic slowed everything down. He actually played quite well. Matic didn't give the ball away, but he slowed everything down, and they didn't really want that. And Fred had one of those games that he was having when he first came to Manchester United, where he didn't look to be that sort of creative player.
How do we make Harry Maguire so far? Of course, a big money signing in the summer.
Yeah.
Leicester are flying without him.
He didn't play well today. There's no way that Lacazette should turn him as easily as he did once or twice in the box. He wasn't quite so good on the ball. He's probably the best centre-half on the ball. He didn't show that today. He made poor decisions. He was slow with his passing, maybe because the movement wasn't good enough in front of him. But just a couple of times it went out to him. You think, go on, play it forward now. And he went back inside, tried to play a crossfield ball, which was cut out. And it encouraged Arsenal and the crowd, let's go and press them. Manchester United aren't a good team at the moment.
Yeah, against smaller forwards who are willing to put the ball down and take him on, and as you rightly say, Lacazette was just having a field day with Maguire. And then at times, even up at the other end, you're looking for him from set pieces. Didn't really have much of an impact in that regard as well. It's been disappointing from a player who I thought promised so much, given what we've seen at Leicester and in particular with the England team.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPNFC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.